car. But the mind that controls the body has its own programmed agenda, how it works. But it's got to be taught everything. It's like a computer, a blank computer that runs the body. So when a person gets into this body, soul can't talk to the computer because there's nothing in the computer. So the computer learns from its family, its parents, its friends, the people, the school. Now the second hardest thing for soul, the first hardest thing for the soul to do is to communicate through that. Because when you program a computer, the alphabet, now you're not going to tell the computer the words until it learns how to put the words together. So when the soul is trying to talk to the mind, it's very, very different. So the mind doesn't perceive the same thing that soul that you are is trying to tell it. So there's a double-sided belief and understanding that soul goes through when it steps into this body. Now, when I say it has an awareness already, it probably reincarnated many times. That's a separate word. We'll get into that later, meaning you had a life here, you died, went to a place, and you came back to another body and started all over. But soul is aware of all that. But the mind can't perceive it. Mind perceives things it can understand or program to understand. So when you step into this body and you go to use it, it's trying to communicate to mind. Now, where you can learn and start seeing the difference between mind and your soul is like when TJ mentioned it, when you have an awareness of something. Suddenly you just know something. Well, that's soul pushing it through the mind, and the mind kind of goes through it. Whether it accepts it or not is different. Now, I'll give you a simple scenario that I always use. All right, on the way the mind thinks. If you're a child and you're at a corner and the light's changing green, and you get this, the mind always gets two thoughts. So first thought the mind gets, hurry up and run across the street. And then the second thought it says, just wait till the light changes. Now, what I tell people is one is coming from the mind and one is coming from soul. Everybody has to learn which one's which. In a life situation, that is extremely important. I mean, if you're falling, a car's rolling down a cliff or something, what's the first thought? What's the second thought? Which one do you have to listen to? Jump out of the car, stay in the car. But it could be a life-saving or a simple way in life. But there's a separation in those thoughts. So, I mean, I'm not going to get into it now, but there's simple techniques to learn to figure out which one you need to listen to. Because once you can listen to soul rather than the mind, you're a lot more safer in life. You can learn a lot more. And you're guided and protected from a lot more things. Where you say, well, I'm going to do this anyway. A lot of people do that. Well, I think I should do this. I'm going to just do this anyway. That just anything could put you in a death place or get hurt or things like that. So what I'm trying to get to in all this right now simply is learning to understand the body and how to work with it as soul. But if you're not soul aware, it's a lot harder because you're not in the other place to realize that the mind's trying to program everything that it does. So I do mention out-of-the-body experience is a very important thing in this world. Astral projection, well, I mean, there's a couple different words that go around what that is to use to understand that you are not the body. The body is in the life cycle of 125 years. It can't live longer than that as of right now. So you've got 125 years if you live the longest the soul can in this physical body. But most souls usually check out anywhere between 60 and 90. I mean, some check out in 20, some check out in 2. So the time can vary, but you can't go to 180, 190, or 200. I mean, like when they talk about the old days when they lived to 500 or 1,000. The body's set for a time frame. It was created by spirit that guides this planet, how long a soul can live. I'm not talking about aliens because aliens have a different life form, and they live a different time frame. You could have been an alien in another lifetime, but that's not going to help you in this lifetime except if you retain some of the awareness that it went through, which could be beneficial at some point. So, I mean, I'm putting a lot together, but it's simply just trying to help you see that soul, which is what you are, comes into this body that's not who you are and has to use it for that amount of time. Now, the other thing I want to explain real fast, time is different here than where soul is. The soul that's going to come into this body is called the astral body. That body can stay in the astral plane for a lot longer time. I mean, much longer time than it can in the physical body. So if you're in your astral body, you could stay there for hundreds of years or 1,000 years if you want. But then again, it's the thing that controls all this, which people don't like to admit, do like to admit, and they twist a lot of writings to make it fit what they want it to. Soul has to pay its karma. Karma is what you create and what you do in life, what allows you to move on, like if you're going to move forward. If you're in kindergarten and you graduate to first grade, okay. But when you go from first grade to second grade, you have to be at a certain level of awareness. Or when you go from high school to college, you have to be at a certain level of awareness to take that. Otherwise, you can't get in. It's the same with soul. Soul just can't go, well, I'm going to come back, I'm going to do this, if it has karma. Now, karma, like in this world, would be like what you'd have to learn in school. Well, I have to learn all this before I can get to the next level. But while you're trying to learn that, you do create karma. That karma keeps you from getting to the next level that you're trying to attain. If you live karma-free, which is really hard in the physical reality, you can, but you have to be aware. And the awareness comes from being aware that this body isn't truly who you are. So the experiences that it goes through isn't truly happening to you. I mean, you cut the body up and burn it. It's not you. You're still there. So that awareness has to be attained at some point before you die so that you know that you're not going to die. I mean, a lot of people do have fear, no matter what religion they follow, what they say, as long as when it's just a belief system, they don't know what's really going to happen to them, and the fear steps in. Now, if you had an out-of-body experience or a death experience, you already stepped out of the physical body while it was still alive. And that helps you see who you really are and what you really are. You're at a different vibration. Everything's different. The second you step out of the body, time, speed, eating, breathing, all those things change. It's a totally different reality. So it's hard to get into that if you never had any kind of an experience. I could go on and write books and books and books and tell you what it is like, but it won't mean a thing to you until you experience it. So I always give simple techniques to work with to help you get to that point. Because once you attain that, which is the next important thing, like TJ talked about angels. I use angels or guides, and you need to learn to which one that you're meeting or what they are, because they're there. Now, every single person on this planet has roughly 2 or 3 guides. Whether they ever get to talk to them, the person talking to their angel or guide, might not ever happen. If they listen to him one time, they might not ever listen to him again. But realize God was very intelligent and incredible at designing things. So it made sure that each and every one of us can keep moving forward if we want to. So the word freedom is not freedom to beat people up, go out and beat somebody up, or whatever. It's free to attain a higher level of awareness. And you don't attain it the same way you do here in the astral plane or any other worlds beyond that. Now, attaining awareness here is nothing related to the experiences that we think we're going through to learn it. And I don't want to break it down in detail. I don't know, TJ, I don't know how much time you want me to use at one time. But when we go through that and we each take this position of I'm going to start becoming aware. What do you do to become aware? Because you're not going to move forward until you do. So at that point, listening to a lot of speakers is not going to help you, because I listen to every speaker I can to see what they're saying, what they're trying to teach, and what they give to people. Now, when you get a teacher telling you to do this, if you try to do it and nothing happens, obviously it's not helping you. So unless something helps you, it's not beneficial. So if you're in a religion for 20 years and it doesn't help you do anything, it's probably not the right path that you're on. The only other thing I will say on that, if you cross paths, it'll take away from both.
Well,
Now,
let's talk about past lives and soul groups, because I've got emotional, mental, physical, spiritual being, but belief in ascended masters and avatars, life after death for immortal souls. So first of all, people have to decide if they believe in ascension or the raising of their evolvement of whatever they think they are, or that they've had our soul before they came here, and are going back to Source or God, if that's what we want to call it. So we learn to share our past lives' lessons and return to assist in this lifetime to benefit not only ourselves, but other human souls who may desire to share and not to be lonely. Remember, my bottom line, Tommy, was suicide prevention. And we lost Paul Rosenberg. We've lost a lot of people that they just got lost. And not that they weren't spiritual, but, Paul was lonely, a producer, and after he got lost after 2001, and he had worked with Ron Howard, which was Opie, and he worked with Brian Grazer, and he worked with that Weinstein, that Weinstein brothers, but he said they were so dark, but it made him really upset. And then he came on our show, and we did our best to help him, me and Janet, all of us. But he called me. He had taken some pills. It was too late. But he used to call me from time to time about suicide, right? So he said, it's okay. I waited to the last minute, but I don't want you to tell my sister. But, he just had to go. So experiencing being lonely is a part of this church, too. But my daughter died, and she knows I'd kept Theresa J Morris Ministries going. But I told her I'd help keep it going in Ascension Church. And the Ohana, she loved the family. She wanted us to keep our family together. So maybe we should talk about that. Now, Tommy, you may not know this about Gigi, but she had my other daughter make sure she had white clothes on. She believed that when she went to see her maker, God, Jesus, and even though that she was born knowing she was like extraterrestrial and she was out playing with the stars, she came in knowing she was alien or extraterrestrial. She knew that.
I'm losing you, TJ.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was thunder. I'm sorry, Tommy. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
She wanted that she would see herself when Jesus came, or the rapture, and her body would be brought up. Now, some people believe that. And she believed extraterrestrials, and she believed in metaphysics, and she believed in ascension. But I don't have that same old, and that was my daughter, Tommy, but you know what I'm saying. But I don't necessarily believe reality that when you're buried, because a lot of people get, especially in reincarnation and in India, get burnt up. Do you have any opinion on that? Now, is that just because that was her belief system, so she wanted white clothes?
The white clothes? Well, white clothes means purity. But do you know about burning and cutting up and all that stuff? They were all separate, different rituals for different religions. I just saw it. I didn't really want to see it. I was shown it by somebody, my partner, how Tibetan people, what they do to the body when they die. They cut it apart.
What do you believe? Because
the body
are you going to be burned up?
It doesn't matter.
Do you believe that the body has to be, or is it just a belief for? It's individual beliefs, but all right, let's say we have to establish with the Ascension Church Ohana, starting today with people, we can ask their opinions if they want to join and help us in the organization administration as of today. We have a website.
You could have an opinion on that, but the truth is, be truthful to society, be truthful to this planet. If everybody wanted to be buried, the world would be infested with coffins by a long period of time. Oh, no, I'm just saying... Well, my partner was just talking about in Tibet. They cut the body apart and feed it to the birds. Yeah,
Namdal is a practicing Buddhist at a certain level. Is she a bodhisattva?
Yes, the ground's frozen. They have no trees. So they actually just cut it up and let the bird